If you're like me, you probably use Adobe products on a daily basis, not because you want to, but because you have to. You know that Adobe is not doing its best to serve its customers, but you can do nothing about it. I guess you are not the exception, because these past few years there has been a surge of hate directed towards the company. Is it simply because it is such a big name that is bound to have detractors, or does it come from something much deeper? Today we're gonna take a deep dive into the subject, exploring the company's unhealthy practices in the industry, its subscription model shift, lawsuits, and much more. Adobe was founded in 1982 and has an extensive history of acquisitions of software. This culminated in the creation of what is known as the Creative Suite, a suite of products that you can purchase and use for several creative endeavors. This suite was acquired by users through perpetual licenses. However, in 2013, this completely switched with the advent of Creative Cloud. Basically, instead of buying and owning a Creative Suite full of software, you would have to subscribe to it, paying monthly or yearly. This of course created a lot of backlash. There was a lot of discourse, petitions, and what have you. People were not pleased with Adobe, to say the least, and to this day, this is always brought up about the company as a big reason as why people stopped using their products. The users felt like they were betrayed, albeit the company's attempts to convincing you to get the newer versions you could do just fine with the suite you had. But now, at some point when everyone gets so far ahead with their update CC software, it will render your software obsolete and you will be forced to subscribe to keep up. This meant a lot less hacking and cracking when it came to Adobe products, as well as a sure way to keep Adobe's products full to the brim. They no longer had to try so hard to convince you to buy the latest suites and software when you had your perfectly functioning one. Now you have no choice but to pay. However, there is an opposing opinion to the backlash. Some people saw it as a better deal, believe it or not. Sure, you will always be paying, but it would be much less money if you were to outright to buy the product. It helped people get the software without having to break the bank, immediately that is, at the very least. In addition, you will always have the latest updates available to you. You can also write off the subscription on your taxes by listing them as business expenses. This can be especially true if you were to use all or most of Adobe products, as buying them all individually or part of the suite would be much less expensive. The thing is, the subscription model locks you in. For instance, when you stop subscribing, you lose access to all your files that are on the cloud, forcing you to subscribe again to get access to them, which is weird. Not to mention the popular cancellation fees. If you get CC annually and pay for it monthly and decide to cancel only after 14 days, you will get an early termination fee. You can avoid that by getting a monthly subscription only, but of course it is more expensive than the former. So really, what's the difference? You're locked in no matter what. Game dev concept artist at Virtuous, Rafael Deslandes, commented about this in a tweet. Cancelled my $12 Adobe subscription and it charged me $60, and follows in a thread with, "Hey students, don't buy Adobe." Adobe does this for individual programs too. I was forced to get Illustrator for school, used it for 2 weeks and had to spend $60 cancelling just Illustrator. When there are such practices in place where you may be locked in the subscription if you don't have money to cancel it, it's clear why people feel hatred towards Adobe. Not only that, but once you cancel the subscription, you can say goodbye to your files. If you don't renew the subscription, Adobe will not allow you to access them, which is not fair in my opinion. Adding insult to injury is how you can actually get sued for using old versions of Adobe products that you have already bought. Adobe sent the following in an email to users of classic versions of their products. We have recently discontinued certain older versions of Creative Cloud applications, and as a result, under the terms of our agreement, you are no longer licensed to use them. Please be aware that should you continue to use the discontinued versions, you may be at risk of potential claims of infringement by third parties. In an article for Vice, Carbode points out an interesting bit from Dylan Gilbert, a copyright expert. Unless Adobe has violated the terms of its licensing agreement by the sudden discontinuance of support for an earlier software version, which is unlikely, these impacted users have just to grin and bear it. So, while regular consumers may very well not have much trouble with the legalities of it all, it still leaves a sour taste in people's mouths. Not only Adobe switched to a subscription model that people might not be able to afford, but then threatens that they will be punished for using the software that they bought with their hard-earned money. So now the question is, why don't people seek out other software to use for their work? Surely with the rise of free and open source software and the advancement of technology, there must be alternatives to Adobe products that give you much of the same tools and features or even better than what Adobe offers. To that I say yes and no. Yes, there is absolutely amazing software that rival Adobe's products. Krita can rival Photoshop, and Blender can be to a certain extent an alternative to Substance Painter and similar software that Adobe has. But we also have other software, such as DaVinci Resolve, Nuke, Matron, and so on. There are so many great products that are objectively better than Adobe's products. But Adobe has established itself as industry standard over many years. When you try to apply for a creative job in movies, video games, marketing, or whatever the case might be, the job description has to have knowledge of Adobe CC required, and it has it somewhere in there. That's what universities, courses, and workshops rely on to teach you as well. The industry was built on the use of Adobe products, and that has made Adobe industry standard. Even when you are a freelancer, a client often inquires about skills in Adobe products. They might have an already established workflow that requires you to use Adobe products in order for them to have full compatibility and ease of use. The thing is, as long as big corporations and businesses keep using Adobe products, it forces the education realm to stay within that, and by extension, forces individual creatives to be locked into it as well. Other factors that have played a huge role in people's dislike for Adobe in their products is the recurrent and countless errors, in addition to crashes and bugs that come with their products. In a Reddit thread about this very subject, a Reddit user commented, "It is now constantly in beta. I have used the suite for over 25 years and it has never been more unstable and frustrating daily." Another Reddit user added, "Yes, Adobe software has become increasingly buggy. I have been using their software for decades, and it's maddening to see constant bugs come up. Not only are there strange new bugs, but they have version-spanning bugs that don't get fixed. Of course, if you don't try to find a fix for a given bug in their forums, half of the time a member of support offers a non-answer, blames the user, and closes the thread. I miss the old days when version releases were more stable upon release rather than releasing a buggy product and then fixing it in an update." In addition to this recurrent bugginess and lack of sophistication of their products, Adobe hits PC hard with their high CPU usage prone products. This has been a running theme and a known issue. Users usually try to find a way around this, and thankfully there is a big enough community for people to find help on these matters from other fellow users of the products. But such a phenomenon, especially recurring, is a sign of unsophistication and rushed development cycles, especially when it comes to the testing phase. Users feel like they are being handed clunky products in their beta phase, even when they are paying to have access to all these products monthly. It seems that Adobe focuses on adding innovative features instead of focusing on providing a stable product to use. While speculative, it would make sense that this is Adobe's way of showing to their clientele that they are indeed leaders of innovation in the techno-creative realm, further cementing their position as industry standard. However, this comes at the expense of increasingly buggy products, which just adds more fuel to the ever-growing fire Adobe has created. Yet another related bone people have to pick with Adobe in their clunky UI and UX. There are common complaints of messy menu trees, unintuitive workflows, and most importantly, inconsistent keyboard shortcuts across different software, which is just extremely unnecessary. And it is considered the worst offender as shortcuts are essential and at the core of any creative process. When we look at all of these different factors, it is a miracle that Adobe still survives today. Its branches are spread wide in the industry, and it is not going anywhere. Not anytime soon, unless a worthy competitor presents itself, and for that we will have to wait and see. Thank you guys for watching. We would love to hear what you think about this. Also, please subscribe to this channel because there is a lot of exciting and good content on the way, so we can keep you updated on the videos we're gonna post very soon. Thank you very much for watching again, and I'll see you in the next one.